You know, we have endured so much for so long. And, we've been doing a very, very, very good job at maintaining ourselves mentally, spiritually, and in every way that we can. These videos are just as therapeutic for me as it is for you. You have to give yourself some credit for the fact that you've managed to arrive at this point. But the one thing that people don't talk about is the sudden wave of sorrow that may come upon you at times. You may not be a slave to your anger like you used to be, but it's the sorrow and the sadness that comes out of nowhere from years and years of emotional pain that has accumulated over the years. You have to sit back and you wonder, can I truly heal from my wounds? Sometimes our wounds, a lot of us who have complex trauma, our wounds run so deep that it's almost like it became a part of us. It's almost like the wounds are deep into our bones, deep into, it's literally circulating throughout the body, and it became a part of us. And somehow we have to live a normal life with all of that in us. This is why I hold a lot of patience and grace for myself and for many others who are in the same position. The human experience is a very, very difficult, it's a very difficult thing to navigate around. I was reading something today, and it says something about how we can never truly erase the wounds. All we can do is stop it from bleeding. And I read that, and it kind of messed with me a little bit, because I was like, so you mean to tell me that all this healing that I'm doing is for nothing? And it's not just because I read that, but it's because I was feeling it too. It's like there is some truth to it, that no matter how much you heal, the wound would never disappear. And you could feel that when you feel that rush of sorrow come upon you out of nowhere. And it's crazy because I was having such a great day today. I was in a very good mood. I was laughing, and then a few hours later, it hit me. It hit me like that whiplash, like when you're in the middle of a fight, in the boxing ring, and then someone just hits you in the face, and you didn't even see it coming, just like that. It's something that's out of my control, and I just feel it, and then it gives me a high amount of distress out of nowhere. And the way that I ground myself is I immediately, start writing. I immediately start writing like some type of poetry or just free writing, whatever I'm feeling at the moment, but I try to express it in a poetic way and not hold back on what I'm feeling at that moment. It's like a form of therapy, because as I'm writing, I release all the emotions as I do that. And so that's how I do that. And then until it's all over. But then I look back, and I thought about it, and I was like, how long have I been doing this? Like, I've been doing this every time I feel that moment, every time I get to that point, right? I do the same grounding technique, and I'm just like I look back and I'm like, how many times have I done this? And I've been doing this since like 2011, 2012. So I'm like, what year is it now? I mean, it's 2025, and I'm just like, so I'm still battling with these wounds, and this particular wounds that it's like a wound on top of a wound, because there's one wound that is the reason why I have the other wounds, And so basically it's like it's so deep. The wound, the foundational wound itself is so deep that alone is already deep, but then you add more wounds on top of that. It just feels like very hopeless. I couldn't help but ask myself, like, so if these wounds never leave, if these wounds never erase, what is the point of healing? It sounds like a very cynical question, but I would like to know the answer. And what I read is that healing doesn't mean that you erase the wound, but the wound becomes a scar rather than something that's fresh, and painful and stuff like that. Basically, but when you have a wound that is so deep, like deep to the point that is almost deep in your bones, when you break a bone or when you have a fracture, can you really truly heal that? Because you can try to, but there's always that fragmented part of that bone that could never be the same. And if your bones are so broken that you might need to replace it with some type of prosthetics or something like that, So it's just it's something that really bothered me today, and yeah. So if you ever experience those moments where you feel like you start to question whether or not you're truly healed, whether or not, that's the dark side of this journey. The dark side of healing is when you get hit with those waves of depression sometimes, and it hits you and you're just like, you start to question if you actually healed, or if all of that was just you, trying to run away from the pain. And it's like, I'm not trying to run away from it. I've been addressing it for so long. Like, I take on it head on. I write about it. I talk about it. I feel like I make too much content about it. So if anything, I feel like I'm doing everything that I can to confront it and to finally, just get it out of me, but apparently you can never truly eradicate what caused you such a large amounts of emotional pain. Apparently you can never get rid of the thing that nearly destroyed you, basically. And it sucks. And when you get to that realization, it could be very discouraging. But the only thing I would say is that, look, I'm not going to give up, and I don't want to send that message. I don't want to send that kind of message out there, because the truth is, even though I read about it, I thought about it, and I really contemplated on this, I'm still not going to give up. I'm still, if anything, it kind of inspired me to really get into, it has to do with my fitness side, getting back into, when I finally get the chance to do this, because right now, I got other things going on, but I want to kind of get into get into the fighting arts or something, working out, but that will never stop. But it kind of motivated me to do something else that, it's because, like I said, I have to keep myself busy, and I cannot allow this to take over me. I'm already going through a lot at the moment, and I'm going to continue to persevere gracefully without utilizing too much of my energy, So there's that. And all I can do, man, all we can do is continue to move, and just, that's it. Not let nothing worry me. That's the best thing you can do, is just keep doing what you do. Keep that, stay productive, stay creative, and just keep going. That's really all you can do. And then, like I said, you have to give yourself some credit. And I have to take my own advice too, of giving myself a lot of credit, because sometimes the problem with us is that You know, I talk a lot of shit about how, oh, I don't need no validation, but honestly, we all need some type of validation, you know? That's why, encouragement, it means a lot, you know? And so, yeah, we do need that. You know, we don't want to depend on it like it's a drug, but we want some type of it, you know? Because unfortunately, there's people in your life that don't believe in you, never believed in you, or maybe they never loved you. And then you have to look back and think, wow, you know what I mean? But the only thing that really, another thing that you could think about is you think about, Joseph from the Bible. That's the figure, that's the person that really aligns with a lot of us. And we've heard a lot of people say that too, so it's not like I'm not the only one that mentioned that. But seriously, the story of Joseph is telling you that, everything is possible if you continue to keep your faith intact. But the most important thing is your mental health and your spiritual walk with God. Those are the two things that are important. Don't stress so much about the money, especially in this type of economic times that we're in right now. We're not doing too well economically. But for someone like me, I'm already used to I'm already used to struggling financially. That ain't nothing new. I'm not going to allow the financial aspect to cause me a lot of distress. I already have distress from other stuff, from past wounds that seem to never go away. To me, it just feels like you heal the wound, right? Everything's great. Everything's amazing. I'm able to be productive. I'm able to do a lot of great things, right? But then all of a sudden, it's like it reopens like a scab. When you pull the scab off, and it's like, it just seems like it just reopens on its own, and it's like it just never stops. And then you're hit with that wave, and then you're just like, oh shit, I can't believe I'm feeling this right now. I thought it was over, and that part right there is so dangerous sometimes, but I got it under control. I'll be okay. I felt that a few hours ago, but now as I'm talking about it, and hopefully this could resonate with someone out there and it could actually help them to just not feel so isolated, because that's one of the biggest things. We feel isolated, but you're not on your own. So that's the message right there. And please take very good care of yourself. I will do the same. Until next time.